Day 2, Monday, October 24th. Genesis 2. Genesis 2 1-25 NKJV. Thus the heavens and the earth, and all the host of them, were finished. And on the seventh day God ended his work which he had done, and he rested on the seventh day from all his work which he had done. Then God blessed the seventh day and sanctified it, because in it he rested from all his work which God had created and made. This is the history of the heavens and the earth when they were created. In the day that the Lord God made the earth and the heavens, before any plant of the field was in the earth and before any herb of the field had grown. For the Lord God had not caused it to rain on the earth, and there was no man to till the ground, but a mist went up from the earth and watered the whole face of the ground. And the Lord God formed man of the dust of the ground, and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living being. The Lord God planted a garden eastward in Eden, and there he put the man whom he had formed. And out of the ground the Lord God made every tree grow that is pleasant to the sight and good for food. The tree of life was also in the midst of the garden, and the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. Now a river went out of Eden to water the garden, and from there it parted and became 4 riverheads. The name of the first is Pishon. It is the one which skirts the whole land of Havilah, where there is gold, and the gold of that land is good. Bdellium and the onyx stone are there. The name of the second river is Gihon. It is the one which goes around the whole land of Cush. The name of the third river is Hiddekel. It is the one which goes toward the east of Assyria. The fourth river is the Euphrates. Then the Lord God took the man and put him in the garden of Eden to tend and keep it. And the Lord God commanded the man, saying, Of every tree of the garden you may freely eat, but of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil you shall not eat, for in the day that you eat of it you shall surely die. And the Lord God said, It is not good that man should be alone. I will make him a helper comparable to him. Out of the ground the Lord God formed every beast of the field and every bird of the air, and brought them to Adam to see what he would call them. And whatever Adam called each living creature, that was its name. So Adam gave names to all cattle, to the birds of the air, and to every beast of the field. But for Adam there was not found a helper comparable to him. And the Lord God caused a deep sleep to fall on Adam. And he slept, and he took one of his ribs, and closed up the flesh in its place. Then the rib which the Lord God had taken from man he made into a woman, and he brought her to the man. And Adam said, This is now bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh. She shall be called woman, because she was taken out of man. Therefore a man shall leave his father and mother and be joined to his wife, and they shall become one flesh. And they were both naked, the man and his wife, and were not ashamed. Daily deep dive. On the seventh day, God did something else very special. With all his work done, God rested. This word rested is the Hebrew Shabbath, H7673. This is the verb form of the Hebrew noun Shabbath, i.e. Sabbath. Compare the following scriptures. Exod 23:12 6 days you shall do your work, and on the seventh day you shall rest. Shabbath, verb form, that your ox and your donkey may rest, and the son of your female servant and the stranger may be refreshed. Exod 31:14 you shall keep the Sabbath, noun form, therefore, for it is holy to you. Everyone who profanes it shall surely be put to death, for whoever does any work on it, that person shall be cut off from among his people. Exod 31:15 Work shall be done for 6 days, but the seventh is the Sabbath, noun, of rest, Shabbathon, Sabbath observance, holy to the Lord. Whoever does any work on the Sabbath, noun, day, he shall surely be put to death. Exod 31:16 Therefore the children of Israel shall keep the Sabbath, noun, to observe the Sabbath, noun, throughout their generations as a perpetual covenant. Exod 31:17 It is a sign between me and the children of Israel forever, for in 6 days the Lord made the heavens and the earth, and on the seventh day he rested, verb Shabbath, and was refreshed. What we can clearly see from these verses is that God created the Sabbath right from the very beginning. It wasn't created only for the nation of Israel but was part of God's perfect design for all of mankind. The Bible also clearly shows it to remain in effect for New Testament Christians. New Testament, HEB 4-9 There remains therefore a rest, sabbatismos, keeping of the Sabbath, for the people of God. In Greek, there is a different word for rest that is used, and the author of Hebrews uses that word many times in the book, but by shifting in Hebrew 4-9 to sabbatismos, it was intentionally designed to take us in the Greek back to the original Hebrew word it was inspired from. Most Christian people do not know that Constantine the Great, a sun-god worshipper, would look to form one common religion in the Roman Empire, for the sake of peace in the empire, and would begin making decisions on Christian doctrines form something that was nothing like what Jesus Christ or the apostles practiced. The Sabbath as a day of worship was changed to a different day, dedicated to the worship of the sun, Sunday. Additionally, Passover would be replaced by Easter. Many true Christian beliefs were changed to untrue pagan ideas. This is all well documented, and every Christian should understand what occurred at the Council of Nicaea in 325 AD and later the Council of Laodicea. For more information, please see the following article, which takes about 15 minutes to read. https://www.uc.org/thegoodnews/modern Christianity's forgotten roots. Verse 7. God created man from dust and brought him to life through his breath, and man became a living being. The word for being, Hebrew, nephesh, simply means creature. It can apply to both animals and mankind. It has nothing to do with an immortal soul. The UCG reading program states the following: of course, there is another important difference between animals and human beings. Human beings have a spiritual component to their existence, not to be confused with the false concept of an immortal soul. This spirit is not conscious of itself but, rather, empowers the physical brain with human intellect. This spirit in man, or human spirit, is mentioned in a number of verses in both the Old and New Testaments. Interestingly, both the Hebrew word for spirit, ruach, and its New Testament Greek equivalent, pneuma, also convey the sense of wind or breath. So it would make sense that when God breathed into Adam physical life, he also spiritually breathed the human spirit into him. It is this spirit that enables man to have a mind in the image of God's, to make moral choices, and to have a genuine relationship with God. In verse 18 we see it wasn't good for man/mankind, Adam, to be alone. I will make a help opposite/counterpart. The Hebrew help opposite or help counterpart is the Hebrew ezer nigd. Ezer means help or one who helps, and nigd means a front, a part opposite, a counterpart. Adam then names the animals. But then in verse 20 it says, for Adam there was not found an ezer nigd. There wasn't a counterpart to help him found. In verse 21, God performs the first surgery and healing on man, taking a rib from Adam, and from it, God makes a woman, Hebrew isha. This word is most often translated wife in the Bible, 425 times. Verse 23, she should be called isha, woman, because she was taken out of ish, man. Ish is most often translated man but is also translated husband, 69 times. Verse 24, therefore a man shall leave his father and mother and be joined to his wife, and they shall become one flesh. The Hebrew for join means to cling, to stick, to stay close, adhere. God designed man and woman, a husband and wife, to leave their parents and be bound together. It then says they should be one flesh. The Hebrew here means a united body or one body. To become one, staying close and bound together. The chapter ends in verse 25 telling us that the two of them were nude and that Adam and wife, Isha, were not ashamed. There was no shame in a husband and wife being nude and together. Some people over time have tried to turn the sexual desire between a husband and wife into something wrong. God designed sexuality as very good, when used how he designed. It should also be mentioned that woman was not created from the ground like all other creatures. She was not created from some inferior or lesser material, but was created from Adam himself. We already saw, she was created to be a counterpart to help him. This word nig that we already discussed contains the meanings in front of oneself, before your face, parallel to. It was if Adam and his wife, created from himself, stood looking at each other, seeing that they were each two halves that made up a whole, one body. In chapter 1 and 2 of Genesis we are introduced, without a lot of detail, Two God beings who each have specific roles and authority within those roles, however, are completely one and unified according to purpose, value, etc. Then we are introduced to two individuals, formed in their image, made from one source, two counterparts, who by God's incredible design were meant to bond together into one. Yes, within this relationship God established roles and authority, just as there exists in the God family. However, remember to look to the Creator and the design, not how man and Satan have messed it all up, like much, if not all of creation. Try to meditate on how God originally designed this to work, not how mankind has made a mess of it. Bible memory verse, Gen 2:2 And on the seventh day God ended his work which he had done, and he rested on the seventh day from all his work which he had done. Gen 2:3 Then God blessed the seventh day and sanctified it, because in it he rested from all his work which God had created and made.